remembers what has happened over the past couple of sessions?
I need a recap.
Well, last session we did a lot of shopping.
Oh
We
yeah.
bought clothes and there was weapons and uh, it was a day out on the town.
Y'all.
Struck a deal with Timo. That worked out. We encountered a Sith, got away from it at the cost of Galatea. We went to Kana's master's base because that was a safe place, quote unquote. And if he turned in the contract essentially and got invited to the Senate or to something on Coruscant, I believe. Lissy also had some kind of mission for Theisme and Vialexa, something to do with medical supplies, I believe.
That was also given to Iffy.
It was also given to Iffy, okay.
So essentially, Iffy turned in the contract, was invited to come back to Coruscant when she could to kind of reap some of the benefits of successfully securing the contract. And Lissy essentially handed over a data chip saying, you know, if you want to try and do a little bit of good in the galaxy again, there's some stuff on here that might be of interest regarding some Bacta tanks and some medical supplies that they're having trouble procuring. And in the same vein, Theisme and Vialexa, who are sometimes employed by Lissy, we're told that there might be some leads in that direction that she would like them to look at, should if he decide to investigate the data chip any further. And Kano was tasked with keeping an eye on Kane until such a time as he either proved to be untrustworthy or decided firmly one direction or another as far as his relationship with the Jedi. And then shopping day happened. And everybody got a whole bunch of shit. And makeovers happened for essentially everybody, if I'm remembering correctly. Whether they wanted a makeover or not. And you all headed back to the compound and Iffy's ship to kind of sleep through the night and get a good night of rest where you all were relatively confident that nothing bad would happen through the night. Most everybody on the ship, except for Kana, taking the opportunity to sleep in her own bed for one night before she had to leave.
Yep.
And so we shall start bright and early in the morning. The engines of various speeders and cars starting the morning hum of an Ecumenopolis almost as soon as the sun reaches over the horizon and above the towers of the city. And signaling that the day is getting underway. Who's up first?
We're all just like waking up.
Yes. Okay, everybody's awake now.
Kana will head to the ship, I guess. See what everyone's up to, what the plan is.
Okay.
If anyone is answering.
Iffy is probably going to be at the, the little. God, I don't know why I'm blanking on the fucking name of the part of the ship where they keep the cool hollow projection.
Communications
she'll
room?
Yeah, she'll be there, probably still in a face mask, trying to figure out the data chip, I think.
We'll get rid of Kane for now since he's not here. So the data chip is not overly secured. Essentially, it's where you can just put in your credentials as a ambassador, as someone connected to the Senate, and it opens up for you. And inside are a couple of names and some very basic information. The first seems to be the name of a doctor. Last name Xander, Dr. Xander.
Okay.
And they have made some claims that they are aware of some smuggling happening where people are taking medical supplies that are meant to be going to the big medical frigates and some of the frontline planets. And that's very loud. Sorry, distracting myself with the noise. But there's medical supplies that are meant to be going to the medical frigates and some of the frontline planets that are just not making it. And they're being lost in transit somewhere. Nobody's quite sure where. Or at least nobody's claiming to know where. And Xander claims that they have a couple of names that they think are connected to this smuggling ring. Or may at least know what's really going on if they're not smugglers. However, there's concern about sending those names over open networks. There is 2 more names that have been flagged by Alyssy as simply being of interest, and in particular, wanting to see if they match up to or are connected with the names that Dr. Xander might provide. And one is simply marked as Lily K, and the other is Ranchi. And I will write down these names very fast for you in chat.
Thank you.
And there is essentially the coordinates for what looks to be a medical frigate that Dr. Xander was last stationed on, as well as the hollow number for Dr. Xander included in their information.
Pretty thorough little data chip. Iffy, while, sipping on her morning space cucumber juice, to keep herself nice and refreshed. Gonna rack her memory a bit, see if she's heard anything about any of these people before.
You have not heard of Lily Kay. Ranchi is a name that you have heard in kind of the shadier parts of the galaxy. It's not a very big name, though. It essentially, like, is in passing of, like, yeah, and Ranchi was involved with this. He is primarily connected with smuggling, as far as you remember. If you would like to learn anything more about either of them, or any of them, let me see here. In a second, I've been doing a lot of different systems. Give me a second to remember what is actually
No
included
worries.
in this system's abilities. Character sheet. There we go. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Xander, you can roll a Core Worlds at 2. Or if you'd like to learn any more about the other two, you can roll a Underworld at 2. You can roll them both if you would like.
Alright, let's see. Sometimes I have questions about how I distribute my skills. Alright,
Mood.
so let's do, this first one's going to be Core Worlds, and then the second one will be Underworld. They are somehow the same.
Interesting.
I don't know why I didn't put any ranks in that. Okay, so that's Core Worlds, and then this is Underworld.
Okay. So, Dr. Xander, you've not heard a whole lot about. You think you might have heard that name in passing as being attached to some impressive surgery of some sort. But you're not generally paying much attention to medical gossip and news. So that's about as much as you can remember about Dr. Xander. As far as the other two, let me look at this and see what I want to tell you.
That is perfectly fair.
Because you did get a little bit more information. So, you have heard of Lily Kay essentially being either in charge of or connected to, you're not 100% certain, to a fairly large casino hotel racetrack on the Outer Rim. And being something of either a information broker themselves or one of the more kind of face underlings for an information broker, the mouthpiece, if you would. You're not exactly sure which one it was, but you do remember them being connected to a casino and track, essentially. Ranchi, last you heard, was... Oop, guess we lost an again. Last you heard, was in and out of one of the smuggling ports located in an asteroid belt in the Outer Rim.
All right. That is useful stuff to know. I know where my biases are. So is it Kana that's approaching?
Yep.
If he looks over, juice in hand, mask on face. Hey, Kana, come here. Let me ask you something.
Okay.
If he will gesture toward the galaxy map, with probably the regions that she thinks these two, Lily Kay and Ranchi, are in, uh, and the coordinates of the ship, turns to Kana and goes, "So, we got ourselves a casino racetrack sort of situation. We got a nice little smuggling situation on an asteroid belt, or a medical ship. Which one of those do you think is more fun?"
More fun or more productive?
You can be fun and productive.
Say personally, going to the uh, medical place would be good to talk to the doctor.
Yeah, but we got his number. We can call him from here.
If okay, we could do that. We could always go to the smuggling port.
If he narrows her eyes, the the little flappy parts of the mask kind of flap in front of her eyes again as she does this, as she moves. Kana, how do you feel about gambling?
I consider myself pretty lucky, if that's what you're asking.
Do you now? Does the Force help with that?
I have never tried, so I wouldn't know.
You'd never played Pizak?
No.
Not once.
Nope.
Well, what do you do to pass the time when you're stuck on a ship?
I mean, meditating is pretty relaxing.
You just meditate the whole ways through?
The whole ways. I mean, if there's books or anything to do.
Like playing Pizak?
Would you like to teach me how to play?
I would love to teach you how to play. If his face lights up and suitably distracted from her task at hand, she will call Kana over to one of the the little Pizak tables on the ship.
What's Bazak?
It's Sabak, but older.
Both of them
It's
are
what?
essentially poker in Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Just think of them as like poker or blackjack.
Okay. Easy.
Yeah, that's a little bit of lore that they don't actually ever say out loud in the movies, I don't think.
No, they just refer to playing Sabak. They leave out the fact that Sabak uses like randomly generated cards, which is just fucking weird.
There actually have been systems for those games created for this game. That, should there be sufficient interest, I could share with all of you to like look at. We are not going to learn how to do those systems at the moment.
So we will remain in the realm of abstraction, and Iffy will happily proceed to teach Kana the joys of Pizak, which is played on this table, and you've got a couple cards, and a couple cards appear in front of you, but the ones that you've got, they're like little. They can change. There's a lot going on. You learn space poker.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I will say, cough, cough. Kana is the sole responsible one that we have at the moment.
Yeah. So then I would want to play this card, right?
Well, see, that card's good, yeah, but what you're really aiming for is a six of plorts.
Supports. Okay. I think I have that.
Give it some time. Let the dealer work. Let the dealer work. See, ain't this fun?
It's definitely interesting.
It makes your brain tingle, don't it?
I guess.
What I'm saying is, we could look into this medical stuff while also playing Pazak. It's a win-win situation, wouldn't you agree?
If you want to gamble, we can gamble. I'm pretty much at your disposal currently, so.
This force stuff, can you use this to cheat here?
Even if I could, I would not.
But what if we, like, really needed the money for noble and good purposes?
She just looks at you with a very leveled stare.
What if,
No.
and this is just a hypothetical here. What if we were traveling the galaxy and we came across this joint where they kept people as slaves, right? And we encountered that one of these slaves was force sensitive, and we needed to settle the debt in order to get this kid some training, like, right? And we found a way to do this by rolling some dice. Would you cheat that die?
The correct answer would be no, but it depends on the situation.
So there's a chance.
If things are extremely dire, maybe. But don't
All right.
count on it.
That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear. All right. Let's give this doctor fella a call, and then we'll see about relaxing a little bit on this casino.
Don't rely on me to cheat. I'm just saying, okay?
Diplomat keeps all her options open.
Oh boy.
Oregon cats. Just kind of rubs her temple a bit. Let's call this doctor.
He nods, at last removing her extremely delicate, probably gold leaf, morning face mask. Gives herself a nice little smooth over, once over in the mirror. Then we'll call Dr. Xander.
So you call Dr. Xander, and it rings for maybe slightly longer than you would like it to before it is answered. In the hollow of a fairly attractive human, a middle-aged man, it comes on the hollow. And he's can't really tell the color of his hair or eyes, but it looks like he has keeping himself fairly well groomed, and there is a clearly ironed like doctor's jacket over the top of kind of Star Wars scrubs. And he blinks for a second, looking at you first, Iffy, and then eyes drifting in the direction of Kano, who I'm assuming is close enough to kind of pop up in the background of the hollow.
Yeah.
And there's a beat, and then a very slow hello? You were not what I was expecting to call from this number?
Well, who were you expecting, Doc?
Someone more of the Jedi inclination.
Oh, that's Kana over there. She's mostly a Jedi.
And his eye is turned towards Kana again, seemingly like trying to judge if that is correct.
I give a smile and I'm Master Lissy's Padawan.
And as you say that, there's a kind of like slow breath in and like that movement back and head up of like, oh, okay. And then there's another slight nod. I see. Are you planning on coming soon to talk about you know?
Would love to pay you a visit. As an ambassador for the Haven Consortium, looking into medical supply lines is a huge part of what I do. Now, these coordinates I got for you, are they correct?
As soon like when you say ambassador, there is his mouth kind of clicks closed. Well, you can't hear it over the hollow, but you can just from the motion imagine that it is an audible click. And like a slightly straightening himself up just a little bit more. Not exactly. I can send you our the most current, location of the Paramount. I'm still on board.
All right. Well, it's good that we called you then. Anything I should know about the Paramount before we make our quick little jaunt over there?
Does your ship have a gun on it?
Does our ship have a gun? Does our ship have a gun? Yes, of course it does.
Should we be expecting conflict?
Ideally not. We have the airspace and control and have for about a week now, but we are in orbit over DM insert aquatic planet yet to be named because I forgot to do that.
Over Waterworld.
Over Waterworld, yeah. We are currently in orbit above, and both of you would know that it is a not major battleground in the war, but it is a planet that has had semi-regular skirmishes. And if there is a medical frigate in orbit, then there is likely another skirmish going on. And he just kind of shifts his head like one way or the other, and then the other, and see him rub the back of his neck. We haven't had any trouble recently, but better safe than sorry.
Safe is my middle name. You can ask anybody. If he says, like a liar. Don't worry. We'll be by to pay a visit before too long.
He nods slowly. If you arrive and you can't get in contact with me, just talk to Esme. my assistant. I'll maybe in surgery at the time. She'll be able to get you squared away until I can have a proper discussion.
Of course, we wouldn't want to be talking business while you're rearranging somebody's guts now, would we?
There's a bit of a chuckle and a nod. Although, I mean, worse places also, I suppose.
You're right, there are way worse places. It wouldn't be the first time I did something like that, let me tell you.
Oh, you'll have to tell me the story when you arrive then.
Looking forward to it, Doc.
And he gives you a little nod and then Kana a little nod and cuts off the call. And about 30 seconds later, you get the beep of coordinates that have been sent.
He nods, lets out a small sigh. Why do you have to be over a war zone? Can't ignore the man if he's over a war zone. I can't just go gambling if he's over a war zone.
So you do have more of a heart than I thought.
Don't tell anybody else, okay?
So, to the Paramount?
The Paramount. Let's get Marcy a charter course.
All right. Let's see here. It's an astrogen.
Yeah, so it would be an astrogation.
Astrogation.
And because you have the
Okay.
coordinates and you are, standing still on planet, nobody's shooting at you, it's just a simple one purple as a formality.
All right. I'll get on that then. Oh yeah, I click on this to roll.
A...
Yay.
Yes.
So,
You got an A+.
yes, you did. You start entering the coordinates and pulling up the astrogation for getting to the current location of the Paramount. And as you're watching things get calculated, there's a couple times you actually stop the calculations and tweak them because you realize that there's a couple of things that seem to be outdated on the computer at the moment. You're like, that's not right. This is the faster route to go through. We should jump here first. And you manage to cut some significant time off of your travel. It looks like it'll be about a 24-hour trip to get to the Paramount.
Nice.
Dang, my star charts are out of date.
So, you taking off, or is there any last-minute things that you want to do here?
I don't think we left any children behind on this planet. I could be wrong about that.
No, not this planet.
Not this planet. Someday, years from now, if he's gonna wake in a cold sweat.
Don't worry, I've not forgotten about the forgotten children.
Yep. That's good.
Oh boy.
But if there's nothing else, then I will gather the party and venture forth.
Okay. Kana, Thesme, Marcy, y'all good?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, also, I totally did see the Denny's in Vegas, and I took a photo of it.
Oh my god.
It's got an arcade upstairs.
Nice.
That's the Denny's.
So
You found it.
what's the difference between Denny's in Vegas and Denny's anywhere else?
The arcade.
Yeah, okay.
And also that they have the fucking audacity to charge $6.40 for a fucking pepperoni slice, like 10 feet away.
So they also sell pizza?
No, it's a different joint that sells the pizza. I was just flabbergasted.
Gotcha. It's the price of convenience.
It's the upcharge of Vegas.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
You're a god.
Let me post a photo in general before I forget.
You all
You're a god.
take off, and it's a relatively peaceful flight. No real issues with the ship. Marcy, it's peaceful enough that you have plenty of time to start tweaking the computers and messing around with it and trying to get everything updated. You're not even paying attention for half the flight.
Nice.
But, eventually, let me rename this page on Roll20 for my sanity so that I can find this easier instead of just leaving it untitled. Eventually, you drop back to regular speed, just within viewing range of the planet. You see coming around the edge in orbit is a massive medical frigate. These things, for those of you that are unaware, are big. Very big. And you can see kind of scattered through the space around the planet debris from various ships and battles that have happened in orbit. However, there doesn't seem to be any gunfire or ships flying right now causing any issues, though you do see several shuttles going back and forth from the frigate to the planet below. And as soon as you are within range, you hail the frigate. Who is hailing the frigate? Marcy or Iffy?
I vote iffy.
I was about to vote you, but you got it out faster, so I will hail the frigate.
So you hail the frigate, and there is a kind of gruff looking, even for their species, Keldor that pops onto the screen. And there's just a very firm, state your name and business.
Iphigenia Fell of the Hapen Consortium. I'm an ambassador here to see Dr. Xander.
Dr. Xander?
That's right, Dr. Xander.
There is a very audible cut to the audio, and you can see on screen the Keldor is turned away and is talking to somebody before the audio cuts back on. You come to Docking Bay 2. There's been an incident.
He's got a bad feeling, but she will agree to go to Docking Bay 2 and not say the line out loud. It's too early in this arc for her to say the line out loud.
And you're given essentially the appropriate approach speed and everything in location to Docking Bay 2. So, with these ships, you dock on the long, spindly neck of these ships, which is fun. Essentially, there are two different docking areas, Docking 1 and Docking 2. And you get up to the ship without too many issues, and the kind of tube that attaches to the outside of your ship connects. You can't go out your standard cargo bay ramp, because the fly-in docking bays on medical frigates, all of you would be aware through your various means and methods, tend to be reserved only for the shuttles coming on and off with injured or supplies. So you dock with the ship, and though you hear the connection and feel the kind of thud on the hull of the ship, that means that you are fully connected to and secured to the frigate. There's a long couple of minutes before you hear the air start to pressurize. And all of you are more than smart enough to know that took a weirdly long time. They either took their sweet time about it, or something is wrong. You're not quite sure which. But the air pressurizes, and the door leading to the station opens for you. And as you cross the tunnel to the ship itself, you are greeted by a kind of wide, long hallway. It's almost twice the width of your ship itself, the width of this hallway. And the hallway seems to go as far as you can see in either direction. Until the very, very, very end, you see, looking very small from where you're standing, the heavy metal reinforced doors that get to the two different ends of the ship. And coming from the forward end, where you know the engineers' quarters are, and the engineering room is, and everything, is a small collection of people, about 4 or 5 people, being led by the Keldor that spoke to you on the comms. And as soon as they come up, they're kind of average height, very kind of gruff and rough looking in appearance, very clear that they have seen their share of hard times. However, their clothing is neatly pressed. It is a uniform of the Navy, essentially. So you know that this is not a medical personnel. This is a military personnel standing in front of you. And they bow their head to you, Effie, and you see them kind of keep that firm, straight backbone of a military person on the job. And let me find their name. Be really nice if I had just like listed all of this shit instead of like just had it lost in my notes, because I'm smart.
Just imagining their eyes rolling in the back of their head as they try to populate their name.
I'm about to just call this Keldor Kelly because I'm having a day of it right now.
Sounds good to me.
I love it.
Kelly the Kildor.
Yeah, that's what we're fucking doing today. That's the type of day where I'm having.
Lieutenant Kelly.
Yeah. It is Sergeant Kelly.
Sergeant Kelly.
I'm Hume the human.
And they bow their head towards you. So I'm Sergeant Kelly. I was not aware that Dr. Xander had a scheduled appointment with anyone.
Oh, it was just a casual sort of thing. I needed to see the man about securing some medical supplies, but is everything all right here?
And tell me how the group is standing. Like, I know Iffy is up front at this point. Where's everyone else positioned?
These may be in the back.
Behind Iffy, I think.
Iris?
Looking cool. I'm gonna use my cool skill to look cool.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Kana would be off to the side of the sea.
The sergeant kind of looks over everyone, and you can see the kind of shifting up and down of their mask that would indicate they're kind of either kind of flexing their jaw or opening and closing their mouth before you see their hands go from behind their back to in front of them and fingers interlacing in kind of an anxious gesture. Dr. Xander was found murdered an hour ago.
I'm so sorry to hear that. An hour ago? Do you have any idea what happened?
We are still investigating. And you see the security and military personnel that are kind of flanking the sergeant, kind of looking between each other, looking kind of uncomfortable. And Sergeant seems to kind of catch that out of the corner of his eyes and shakes his head. You'll forgive us. This is the first time anything like that has happened on the Paramount.
I mean, I can only imagine. Usually when you're dealing with something like this, it'd be down in the war zone, wouldn't it?
And there's a slight nod.
Is the cause of death known yet?
And his eyes drift towards Yukana as you ask, do you keep your lightsaber visible?
Yeah, I'll keep it at my waist. Yeah.
And so the sergeant looks towards you and then seems to clock the lightsaber and straightens up just a little bit again. Not at the moment, Commander.
Can we go see the body?
And
If he turns to look at Kana and raises his brow slightly, but says nothing.
he looks towards the security personnel, and they just seem to like be all looking to him. Like, why are you looking at us? You're the one in charge. And after about a 30-second pause, there's a quick nod. Of course. And he will begin to lead you along the long passage of the ship to take you to the body. Go.
That felt so weird. Just saying.
Commander. And as he leads you towards he leads you down the passageway, he begins kind of talking a little bit. The body was found in one of the shuttle bays. It's not our primary, it's usually one we only reserve for when we have a lot of traffic, which we've had an increasing amount of, but not enough to open Bay C as of yet. But it was discovered there. He explains, and as you reach the very end of the hall, you see that there's a massive pressurized door leading towards the one section of the ship. Very clearly designed so that the ship, if absolutely needed, could be essentially snapped in half and continue to fly not very fast because all the big engines are on the other end. But he enters a code very quickly in a pad beside the door, and ever so slowly these doors hiss open. It is painstakingly slow with how heavy these doors are. And it becomes very clear and obvious that this, being a medical frigate, is 100% designed to be withstanding as much abuse as possible. I will say this is the first time any of you have actually been on a medical frigate. So it is slightly interesting to see. Especially for those of you that are ship inclined. But as soon as the doors open enough for about 2 people, shoulder to shoulder, to step through, the sergeant continues to lead the way in. Any questions that you want to ask on the way?
Who found the body?
It was one of the cleaning crew.
Have you let anyone leave?
That doesn't have to, no, but we do still have to keep flights from the surface and back going. One murder up here doesn't really negate what's going on the surface.
And you don't have any cameras?
We have a few. We're trying to sort through everything right now.
So this place wasn't very populated.
This bay, no. At the moment, it's primarily being used for excess supplies that need to be moved, but when we're over a larger war zone or things get bad enough down there, it is one of the shuttle bays where injured are brought in or supplies are sent out.
Was there anything missing? Anything else out of the ordinary besides, obviously, the body?
We're inventorying now, but it didn't look like anything was missing, at least not at the moment. The body had, well, you will want to see. And as he says that, he takes you around a corner and through essentially a service entrance to this loading bay. And inside, you can see the closed bay doors, metal doors, which would, when the bay is being when the bay is in active use, open for just the shielding, so that ships could fly in and out. At the moment, there are kind of stacks of crates all over the place. Not so much that it is like packing the bay, but it is enough that there's a couple of good piles here and there, seemingly sorted by what looks like companies. So all of one company's supplies are in this section, all of one company's supplies are in another section. And off to the side, kind of positioned towards a back corner, you see cordoned off the crime scene. There's 2 guard personnel that are still standing there. And on the ground, you see Dr. Xander. Just kind of blonde hair starting to go gray at the temples. Still in the ironed, pressed doctor's jacket. Laying completely on the ground. And you do see a stain of blood around him. And as you all approach, the sergeant kind of waves the security personnel off. And they step aside to allow you through. And as you get a little bit closer, you immediately see the what you're assuming is the fatal wound on his chest. That is bloodied and dripping, and you do see a cut in his scrubs. You can examine the wound closer if you would like.
Yeah. I'd like to do that.
Alright. And you step a little bit closer. Roll me a warfare at 1 purple.
Oops.
Okay.
Take that force die off.
So, you take a look and kneel down and kind of poke around just a little bit and realize that the wound that you're looking at is made by a very, very sharp, seemingly standard knife, which is a little odd in the galaxy. A lot of people would prefer to use vibroblades or something of that nature that have something extra to them to make them more dangerous, but this seems to be a standard knife. And a very thin and very, very sharp one because the wound is very clean. And you and anyone else that would like to poke around the crime scene can roll perception at 2 purple.
Man, look at that. You're perceiving the shit out of this joint.
Anyone
I
else
don't
wanting
think
to roll something?
Yep, I'll roll 2.
Oh, any of us can roll perception?
At 2 purple.
Okay. Perception. Oh, gotta get rid of that one.
Okay. So Iffy is technically at 1. Beat you in the failure. Alright. Hana and Disney. Kana, as you're looking around, you realize that the body looks like some sort of slime or mucus or something not entirely pleasant on their hands and arms. Theisme, you are aware enough of kind of the underside of things that as you're looking at this body and kind of pacing around the scene, it's very obvious to you that somebody has gone through the pockets and has kind of poked and prodded this body looking for something.
And the guard is, or the Kelly is still with us.
Yeah. Imagine Kelly is kind of giving Kana space since she is looking at the body, and is kind of like occasionally nervously just like making some comment or statement towards Iffy's general direction, since she is the, like, next highest in command at the moment. Just essentially, Captain is not happy about this. We need to figure it out soon.
Can I make a leadership role to either try and bolster this fellow's spirits or give him some sage advice?
Sure, you can do it, 2 purple.
Ooh, purple. Okay. Let's see what you're cooking with, Ivy. Where is your sheet? It is. All right. 1 yellow, 2 purple. What?
Damn, Iffy.
Iffy does not have any advice for this man, but she sure can make him feel better about his next check.
I don't know what you say, but you just, as soon as you say it, he, like, stops, and you've never quite seen a Keldor expression which you would take as, like, a mouth hanging open, but it's about as close as you're gonna get with the air mask on. And then there's a, like, clearing of the throat and a shuffling of straightening himself out. And he goes quiet for a bit. Like, maybe I shouldn't talk to this lady.
I'm just saying, everybody needs a plan for when the higher-ups get assassinated. You guys don't have that?
Assassination is not something that's supposed to be happening on a
Assassination's
medical
always
frigate.
happening.
Assassinating a surgeon?
Especially a surgeon.
Are there
mean,
like special keys to move around this place?
There's IDs and codes to get in some of the more secured places, but
Has his
most of it
ID
not.
been located, or is it on his person?
His assistant took it when we found him.
And where is his assistant now?
She went to try and help coordinate shifting his schedule around to the other available doctors that we have. She is aware of all the surgeries that he was supposed to be leading or assisting on, and imagine she's either near the surgery bay or in his office.
Where he was stabbed, does it look like it was like a scalpel, or is it bigger? Like, is it really that thin? 'Cause you said it was a clean and, smaller, like a knife, but
You can make just kind of build a flat knowledge roll at a 1 to see how much you can gather from it.
knowledge. Knowledge. Where is that? I don't see it.
Did I say the wrong skill? Intellect, sorry.
Intellect. Okay. Oh, so just roll the stat itself.
Yes, the stat itself
Okay,
with a
okay.
single purple.
Okay. So that would be 2.
This is what happens when you're DMing in too many systems at once. You don't know which fucking system has what anymore.
So just making sure. So the intellect is 2, so that'd be 2 greens, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
we're doing great, guys.
Be worse?
You're not really sure, like, the more specifics of the weapon because it is still a bloodied wound. You can see, looking at it, that it looks like it was a kind of straight downwards thrust. by how clean it is and precise it is. Almost like the doctor was either already on the ground or was like up against a wall or something like that, and somebody was able to just straight in and out.
Okay. Is there any more slime or mucus around the body, or
It
anywhere
does
near?
not appear like there are, or there is. You can do a xenology check if you would like it. 3 purple to try and figure out what this might be.
Xenology, I highly doubt.
Yeah, I think all the people that have xenology are not with us currently.
You know what happens? Oh,
Wow.
you did pretty good.
Yeah.
You look at it and you're not 100% certain on the exact nature of the mucus. Because you aren't able to really test it. But it's consistent with aquatic or amphibian species. Many of them tend to have a mucus or a slime on their skin.
And there's no trail or anything like, or even just looked like it was cleaned up even.
No.
Okay.
I mean, the slime and mucus you see on like aquatic and amphibians, you usually only get it from hands or face touching. It doesn't just drip off of them, because then people would not let them on their ships, because kind of nasty.
Could I possibly skullduggery at this body?
You can try. It'll be 3, and tell me a little bit more of what you're aiming to try and get.
Just as somebody who has likely been dodging the bullets of assassination since she was 5, if Iffy's professional opinion, TM, anything stands out about this tour, basically.
Gotcha.
So here we go. I won't use a point. It's fine. It was not fine. I should have used a point.
You're essentially what looking at it, because Kana and Thisme have not shared anything because they are, I'm assuming, because they're in the presence of other people. You're able to kind of gather most of what they are seeing, but you're not being able to figure out anything additional.
Sounds good.
Who are the locals on the planet? Have they been hostile at all to anyone here on the Paramount?
Not as far as I'm aware. I mean, there's the standard hostility towards everybody that is shooting a gun on their planet that's not from their planet. But to be fair, that's kind of reasonable at this point. I've not attacked, if that's what you're asking. You guys can also inspect further out from the body if you would like. Or if you are done. Let me actually
Is there something that Thisme could ascertain about? So, I mean, if the body looks kind of like picked over, like, or even maybe just to help me try to figure out like what could possibly be pickpocketable off of a doctor like this?
Share that with y'all. Those are all the places that we'll say is like, these are places you can go on the ship, so that it saves all of our sanity from like, what's the 5 million rooms that are on a giant frigate. Roll a I shall give you options here. A underworld, a skullduggery, or a streetwise. At 2 purple.
Okay.
You look around. You are not investigating crimes is not necessarily within your skill set. However, you look around the room trying to guess at what might have happened, and one of the piles of crates, just a little ways off, you're looking at it and you can kind of see that some of the crates look a little askew compared to the very precise stacking that's happening in the rest of the room. Almost like they've been shifted or moved for one reason or another.
Can these may try to signal to the party without really like notifying the entire room that there's something
If you
amiss
explain to
with
me
the...
how you're doing that.
You message the group chat, obviously.
Probably like a really loud fake sneeze and then saying something really dumb like, "Oh my gosh, I sneezed so loud I moved these boxes."
Oh my god. Okay, you do that. And everybody's attention is now on Tisme. And on the boxes that she points out, should you think your attention would drift in that direction.
Hana will look over there,
Yeah, if he will too.
look at these way like the fuck, then look over at the boxes.
When you're looking over there, both Iffy and Kana, you both can see that there seems to be something slightly off with those boxes if you sit and consider it for a moment.
Like different texture or the positioning.
That looks like they have been shifted or moved for some reason. Not majorly, but they're not in nice, neat, exactly precise stacks. Like the bottom one is like scooted over and kind of catty corner a little bit.
Mm. Can we check if there's cameras in this room? And if there are, can we have Marcy at them?
Yeah.
You can see that there are cameras without too many issues. However, all of you are aware that in a military frigate, unless you're wanting to like rip out some wires and start rearranging them to connect to your data pad, you'd more than likely have to go to the bridge or to a security office to view what was on the cameras.
What if I can check for tampering to see if there's been any modifications done to existing equipment?
You can definitely do that. You can go to the panel in the room and start kind of examining it. You can roll me a mechanics or a computers at 2 purple.
Okay. Let's see. I think all mechanics is better. I think I have 2 purple loaded, so I shall now click on the dice icon. Oh, looks good to me.
We're doing so good. We're doing so good.
The brain cells have not come with the party today. the brain cells got left in the shopping mall.
Where they're supposed to be.
That's right, if he uses most of hers.
You go over to the panel and you're looking at it, and it doesn't look like there's been any obvious damage to it. You're not really sure if there's been anything else done to it, because you're looking at it, it's like, well, it's clearly not been violently popped off the wall, so I don't necessarily know that I want to pop off this, like, control panel in front of the sergeant on a military vessel.
Right. Right. All right. Well, I guess I was just doing a Sherlock scan and nothing came up, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Approximately how many other people are still in this space?
At the moment, other than your group, there is the sergeant, and there's about 4 guards, 2 that were stationed in here when you got here, kind of protecting the scene, and the 2 that have stuck around with the group since you guys were greeted at docking. And they are all kind of watching and listening to y'all intently, but they're very pointedly staying out of your way because nobody wants to get in the way of an ambassador and a Jedi. The only one that might have rank that would survive is the sergeant.
Did the cleaning crew have anything to say? Did they notice anything?
Oh, that poor woman. The sergeant just kind of sighs. She just screamed. I mean, I guess that's what you do when you find a body in the dark that you're not expecting there to be. She screamed and was running down the hallway when somebody came to figure out what the screaming was about. She just said that she walked in to try and get another one of the crates open. He points towards the stack of crates closest to the body. Those have most of our cleaning and antibacterial and antiseptic sterilization tools in it. She was supposed to be getting him up to surgery bay, which, considering now, and he turns towards one of the other guards and points towards one of the crates. I think you might want to get that up to the surgery bay. And the guard just nods quickly and goes over to the crate, pushes a couple buttons, and it starts hovering a couple inches, and he starts to guide it out of the bay.
Wait a second, dear fella. Do you have a manifest for everything that's meant to be in these crates?
I could pull one for you if you're wanting.
I would love that.
Okay. He looks around for a second, looks at the other guards, and then just kind of sighs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go get that started for you. Come up to the bridge. Have somebody show you up. When you're done here, we can try to see about getting you a guest pass for the ship if you're wanting to continue helping us figure out what exactly happened. You'll need it to get into some of the doors. And
We'd appreciate having those.
he nods and
Thank you for your cooperation.
slowly turns and starts heading towards the exit to the bay, leaving 3 guards in the room with you.
I'm gonna check out those off-kilter boxes.
And as that happens, Space gonna attempt to distract the guards.
Okay. How are you distracting them?
Dancing.
The Star-Lord maneuver.
There's a body like a yard away from
Oh wait, do the fan dance that Uhura did in Star Trek V.
Yes, that.
Hey, okay. You can roll a charm.
Okay.
At I'll be fucking honest, 1 purple. These guards aren't smart and they're wondering what the fuck you're doing.
So I can suffer a number of strain to downgrade difficulty of charm. So I'm gonna take 1 strain and do no purple, right?
Sure.
Okay. And let's see.
Damn.
Why would you take strain to downgrade when you already had 3 green, sir?
So that I could do that.
They are well and truly distracted. That's a lot of scenes in which they're willing to support you.
They're just all kind of like, what? You start dancing out of nowhere, like 10 feet from a body. And first one's looking at you, and then the other 2, their attention slowly starts turning towards you. And all 3 different species, 3 different versions of the hell? And
Why are you moving like that?
the one
Boxes.
closest to Iffy just kind of leans slightly towards her. Do we need to get her help? Is she okay?
She's a Pantoran, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. Pantoran just have unusual mourning traditions. This is all done in honor of Dr. Sanda.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice cover story.
And there's like this like confused concern still,
You know,
but
you
also this
guys-
like slight look of guilt of like, oh crap, I'm insulting a culture here, and still 3 versions of uncomfortable.
You know, you guys should really count your lucky stars here. It's not everybody gets to see these. They're a closely guarded secret.
I see. Okay. Kana, what are you doing exactly?
So, what's up with those boxes? Find anything weird?
Perception at 2.
Guilt. Perception. Oh.
Guys, what is up with us tonight?
You look at it and you're not quite sure you can figure out how or why these things ended up the way they are. They're not huge crates, but they are pretty hefty crates. So you know there's something seemingly significant, but you're not being able to put the puzzle pieces together. However, you do see a piece of paper halfway behind one of the crates against the wall.
I will go and look at that indeed.
You pick up the piece of paper and kind of flip it over, and you realize that it is a list of organs with what looks to be prices.
Dr. Xander, were you selling organs?
I think he may have stumbled onto a trade going down, to be honest. Can I move some of the boxes, please? Try and go through them?
Just trying to shift them around, you said?
Just to go through them, see what's inside.
Okay, so
Anything weird.
open them, not move them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can crack open one. There's a good about 12 boxes in this pile. And they're, again, not huge for shipping crates, but they are big. But you can crack open the one closest to you, and in opening it up, excuse me, it looks like it is primarily filled with various drugs and IV fluids and just vials and kind of sacks and bottles of such in that particular crate.
Oh, I was muted, sorry. Are there any boxes with special markings on it to like say, oh, organs, or if it was like close to the paper?
Make a streetwise check at 3 purple.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna go well.
You can always use a light side point if you want.
Nah.
This is... What did we do?
The roll gods have been angered.
I think I've only gotten successes.
That's because you took successes from everyone else. That's what's going on here.
I was doing well earlier. I guess I'll ask one of the guys then. Fuck it.
And then at that point, these May will just stop dancing and not in like a closing move either, just like abruptly like stop dancing.
What are you asking?
Where organs would be stored?
Or organs? In the cold storage off the surgical suite, if we have any. Generally, organs aren't stored for long term.
And where would that be? How far away?
About 2 decks up. It's where all of the surgical suites are.
I got nothing, guys. I'm sorry.
Why do you care about organs?
Kana will pull out the piece of paper. Because it seems like somebody was selling them.
You say that, and there is a palpable kind of rise of attention in the guards, and all of their eyes are now on this piece of paper.
Iffy seems strangely, like, fine given the circumstances. She looks towards Marcy and she's like, "Hey, Moss, you ever decode that data pad we got?
I'm sorry. What was that about the data pad? Data pad?
That data pad we got from,
Yeah.
that hellscape of a ship we were trapped on for a little
Uh-huh.
bit. Do we know what's on it?
Shoot. As a player, I don't remember.
Nobody has
Okay.
mentioned trying to decode any of those to me thus far.
All right.
Yeah.
I will
Wow.
say in the week of travel that it took you to get from Aberfar to Griswold, or the several days, I forget exact time that I told you last time, but in that stretch of time, you could have made maybe 3 attempts. So I will let you roll computers, or anybody else that might want to try.
Yeah.
Computers at 3 purple 3 times.
I think I
And
only have a single rank in computer, so if someone has better than me, they should crack it.
I've got nothing, but I would suggest we use a point on at least one of these.
Okay. And to do that, I increase one of the white dice, right?
You make one of the green die into a yellow die.
Oh, that's right. Upgrade is the thing I
Mhm.
need to use.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Does Thisbe have any computer skill or?
I think our hacker is Piper.
Oh God!
Yeah.
This is why this
These
dice
may
concept
have
upset us.
2 green.
So click.
Okay.
Oh, I think that's good.
Yeah, you get a little bit of something from that. You can continue to try and crack it to get more. It's not fully cracked.
Make sure
Okay.
you hit use light side as well if you did
Oh,
use it or not.
I thought I did. Okay, so maybe instead of manually upgrading, I click use light side,
There you go.
and then does it automatically affect my next roll, or do I need to still upgrade?
No, it's just to keep track of it so that we can all see how many we have.
Okay. But um,
You'll get
like,
some information off of that, so you may not want to use another light side. It's up to you guys.
okay.
Yeah, I think you're fine just rolling straight after that because we already have one success.
Mhm. So that's a null.
That's a null. And then for my third attempt, ah,
Okay. So, through messing with this data pad, you're not super into the computer side of things, especially if it's not the computer on a ship. But you know enough to kind of to have gotten through some of the basic security on this pad. And what you are seeing is pointing you towards a Shistavanian, essentially cybernetics company. So, not anywhere near this planet. And it is specifically for cybernetic augments, seemingly for muscles and nerves.
well, I point that out to everybody.
If he will nod. Right, thank you. But it's good to know at least so we're making some progress on that, but that is a long ways away. Otherwise, I have no other things that we should check in this room. So
Yeah, I can't really think of anything.
I think we've been pretty thorough here.
We were gonna look at the cameras, though. That is important.
Yeah, I think we're going to the bridge for the manifest as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we can probably hit 2 birds, 1 stone there.
And you also need to go to the bridge to acquire your pass.
Mhm.
All right. So you guys group up and head towards the bridge. I think now is a good time to take a quick 10-minute break.
Sounds good. See you
Mhm.
soon.
How we feeling?
I'm here.
Hmm.
This is a cool Star Wars pause screen.
Hello.
Is the closest thing I could get that didn't have a watermark on it to fucking Lightspeed. Hyperspace. Alright. So I heard of Kira, I heard of Cody, I heard of Iris. Do we have an Indian?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Alright. So we will go ahead and jump back into it for a little bit longer. And if the rule gods continue to hate on you, then we can maybe end the game just a little bit early and see if you guys can please them between now and next time.
Everybody get your offerings out. This is because I went to Vegas, right? It's like a curse now.
Yeah, you used all your good luck there, and now you are reaping the unfortunate consequences. Okay, so
Damn it, Denny's.
is there any conversation that you guys want to have out of earshot before you hit the bridge? Because you guys seemed very preoccupied with distracting the guards.
Yeah, well, I mean, Peace may trust no one. When out of earshot, she will share. His body looks really picked over.
They said somebody took his ID, right? But if that's the case, it seems like more than just the ID was taken.
Mhm.
And he had a red substance on his hands. I assume one of the creatures from below.
Figure we should keep an eye out for some of them fishy folks.
I think it's the lead, at least.
This organ stuff don't sit too right with me neither. Especially given he had some ideas about medical supplies going missing. Can't help but feel like maybe there's some kind of connection there.
Perhaps he walked in on something he wasn't supposed to see. It is a docking bay with supplies stored there. It's pretty easy, pretty convenient place to move things around.
Okay. So, you guys. It takes a minute to figure out the kind of lower levels of the ship. You see that, unlike many other ships you have been on, the main bridge is actually down a few levels. More towards the absolutely massive gun that this frigate has at the bottom. And you take a lift down and come out to the hallway outside the bridge, and you can hear the general hubbub of a busy and active command center going before you even open the doors. And as they slide open, you can see that the ship at the moment is turned in such a way that the massive floor-to-ceiling windows of the main bridge are looking down at the surface of the planet below. Teal and green and blue with water, with what looks to be hundreds, if not thousands, of island strings kind of scattered across the surface. And you can see at least one shuttle flying away from the ship down towards the surface below, and it looks like another one coming up. And as you enter the bridge proper, you see the sergeant standing very near the center, beside a very tall Lordian in their standard robes and hood. A Lordian, for those of you that are unaware, are essentially a human subspecies, or near human, that are very, very good at communicating through body language. So much so that they wear hoods and robes to hide their body so that people can't read what they are saying. And they're also very, very skilled at reading other people's body language. And this is a very tall, fairly young man. You see, pinned to the outside of their robe is the captain's sigil. And as you enter, his head turns and you see bright green eyes staring at you. And they very pointedly look you head to toe, each in turn, as they kind of turn to greet you. And there's a very slow, very precise, practiced bow once you are close enough. I'm Captain Regulus.
If he will return the bow. Iphigenia fell, ambassador for the Haven Consortium.
I suppose I should thank you for at least trying to help with our situation. Not how we would normally like to greet guests to the frigate.
Oh, don't worry. This sort of thing is old hat where I'm from. We'll do what we can to help you out.
As you say that, there is a... Well, let's see how good Iffy is at reading body language. Let me see. I'll let you roll a leadership for this.
Alright.
It is 3 purple. However, I will
Okay.
also give you a blue for your various training I'm sure you have gone through.
Alright. Let's see. Let's hope here. Ah!
Hey!
We did it! We're back on the board!
As you at your statement, you see just a very, very tiny kind of quirk of the eyebrow and this just slightest curl of a smirk on his lips, that though generally his expression seems to remain neutral, there was that flash of a micro expression to show that he was seemingly amused by your comment.
Now, my associates here had a chance to look around. Any of you have any questions?
You're referring to us.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Besides the, no, let me rephrase that. Have any supplies been going missing? Particularly organs?
I'm afraid organs aren't usually considered supplies. And there is, again, they try to remain very monotone and unreadable, but that question gets you a slight, like, tilt of the head of confusion before they go back to the monotone and expressionless. I have not heard personally of any issues with the organs that are taken from the dead that we sometimes have on the ship. You might want to ask one of the head nurses. They would have a better idea of something like that. Unfortunately, I am in charge of the security and running of the ship, and some of the supplying. I'm not a medical professional.
If I could get a name for someone in particular, that'd be good to speak to. And we'd also like to see any footage, if possible, from the third bay, right?
Yeah. Basie.
Yeah. Basie.
And they nod. There's head nurse Shiara, and I suppose Miss Cho would also perhaps be able to help you on the medical front. They're something of the lifeblood of the medical suites, as far as I'm aware. But as far as footage, I can certainly let you see whatever we may have. And he turns and kind of leads you over towards one side of the room where you see a couple of people sat in front of computers. And he places a hand on the back of one of the technicians' chairs. Anything in particular that you would like to look at?
Any time leading up to the murder, the hallways outside, see if anyone was in and out. I think that's what I got.
And he nods and looks towards the technicians, and you see both of them immediately start typing furiously. You can see a couple of different screens flashing across the computers. And eventually, they pull up a couple of different camera angles and begin to skim through. It looks like the ship's security system is essentially broken into about 5-hour blocks of recording. And so they pull up the 5-hour block that includes the estimated time of death, the time of the murder. And you see that the cameras to the bay, the room is largely dark with nothing but kind of the emergency safety lights on. And then suddenly the tape clicks off. And they continue to run it for a second. And these two technicians kind of look at each other. And then there's the just sound and sight of furious typing again. And the camera feed jumps back. You see the darkened bay. And it plays and plays. The camera clicks off again. And there is a little bit more of panic between these two technicians. And at this point, you see the captain is very clearly frowning as he's watching this. What exactly is happening? And one of the technicians kind of nervously pipes up. It looks like the camera's cut off for about the next 3 hours.
Oh, just checking here. As a backup, we were told there were key cards and whatnot to get around in this here joint. Would you happen to have visitor logs for this particular bay? Security codes, perhaps?
The captain kind of sighs. Unfortunately, a bay that is only used for excess storage has never required particularly strict clearance to be placed upon it. There was no security needed to enter until a body was found in it.
Oh, I ain't too good at the tech stuff. Maybe you could enlighten me here, because it seems to me like having access to these tapes and these cameras and modifying them, that'd be pretty hard, wouldn't it?
And there's a very quick nod from him. It should be nearly impossible.
If somebody were to go about that, where would they do it?
Well, first instinct would be to say somebody on this bridge was doing it, but as you can see, he kind of motions around, and there is enough people on this bridge that it is virtually impossible for you to sit at any one of the computers and not be in sight of at least one, if not multiple, other people. As you can see, if somebody were to do something like that up here, there would be at least somebody, if not many people, that would be able to see that they were doing something illegal. Otherwise, perhaps one of the server rooms or communication rooms, or theoretically, one of the higher ranking doctors might have access. They have higher security clearance to the computers.
Have you encountered anything else any other times where footage goes blank like this?
Well, we've not had a reason to try and see. And as he says that, you can tell the techs immediately hunch down, take the clue, and start digging. And it takes them a couple of minutes, but they start to compile what looks to be a pattern of the camera in that particular loading bay being cut off for the exact same length of time, about once a month.
Is there any particular day, or is it just once a month in general?
Just once a month, anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
But it is always at the exact same time of the day when it is cut off, and for the exact same length of time.
And no one's picked up on this till now?
The captain just kind of sighs, and you see his eyes close, though his expression still remains neutral. The Paramount has been in and out of some of the worst war zones in the galaxy for the past how many years now? A 3-hour gap in a single camera feed may have slipped through our attention, unfortunately.
How far back does it go?
The techs are still working on it, but it looks like it goes back about 6 to 8 months at the very least.
And I assume they've been in other places besides orbiting this planet
Yes.
in that time, correct?
Yes. You would know the Paramount as one of the major medical frigates. Generally gets repositioned every 1 to 2 months. Or if there is a major hot zone that kicks up, then it ends up there.
Hmm. Is it, how can I put this? Is it widely known where the Paramount is? Like, is it easily accessed information?
Eh, it is fairly easy to know where the major medical frigates are. It's a little bit harder to figure out where specific ones are. You'll know there is a frigate in this area, but you may not know if it's the Paramount or something else.
Okay.
But there are a relatively limited number of this kind of specific and specialized ship. The only reason that this one is over a skirmish planet is that this is a skirmish planet because it's kind of in the middle of a couple of different war zones. So it could very easily go to a front line within a 24-48 hour period from this spot.
Hmm. So besides the woman on the cleaning crew and his assistant, did anyone else interact with the body?
Well, the sergeant here was taking a look. He nods towards Sergeant Kelly. The guards you have seen, though none of them have really touched the body. Nurse Esme was called to gather a couple of the doctor's important documents to get to those who might need it. Then he kind of pauses and seems to be thinking for a second. I don't know that anybody else has interacted that we know of. And he looks over to the sergeant. The sergeant just shakes their head, seemingly like, yeah, I haven't seen anybody either.
And if someone were going in and out of the bay, like shipwise, it would be known, like by whoever's in the bridge, correct?
As far as flying in and out,
Yeah.
um, the captain slowly nods. I mean, anybody that gets within a certain distance of the ship should be hailed by us, otherwise they'd be fired upon.
Hmm.
We possibly cross-check those logs with the times that these cameras have gone out. Are there any repeat visitors?
Well, it may narrow it down some, though we do have our standard shuttle pilots that would be in charge, but he kind of motions towards the technicians and they start pulling up a list of ship and shuttle um, data and start trying to compile the kind of cross reference. And you see that there's about 3 unique shuttles that seem to have specific pilots that are attached to the frigate. Much like you might have an EMT in an ambulance. And as they start cross-referencing, the list gets a little bit shorter, but you are left with about a dozen pilots that have been recorded as coming or going within that time period on various different points. So, in multiple months.
Have any of them lost cargo previously?
And they start searching, and it doesn't seem to pull up anything.
Is the paper Kana found handwritten?
Yes.
Can we
However,
cross check that?
I will say, because I know where you're going,
Uh-huh.
handwriting is not super common, so it's unlikely people are going to recognize handwriting.
We could
Signatures,
probably
maybe.
signatures, yes. Given that this was done with a knife and that we found paper, not flimsiplas, with handwriting, we might be looking for like some kind of old-fashioned type, and that might stand out too.
So are you suggesting somebody old-fashioned to the captain?
I can, or these may can, if you'd like as well.
Go for it.
We will suggest seeing if any of those, anyone among the crew or anyone among these pilots in particular has kind of old-fashioned tendencies.
And captain and the sergeant kind of look at each other for a second. And they seem to be, like, very clearly mentally going through a list of, like, maybe this one, no, not that one, not that one, kind of going down the checklist. And the captain slowly shakes his head. I mean, some of our shuttle pilots will argue about upgrades, but none of them are particularly old-fashioned. You might refer to one or two of the surgeons as such. And the sergeant kind of snorts a laugh. And it's like, well, that's kind of an understatement. Only other old-fashioned ones one it could possibly be.
Who are you thinking among the surgeons?
Uh, the captain just shakes his head. Personally, I don't think any of the surgeons could do this. They're all fairly devout to their oath.
Well, that might be the case, but sure seems like we got a long-term problem on our plans here now, don't it?
And the captain just kind of there you can see very clearly in their expression a like little bit of tiredness leak in. Essentially the sense of, yeah, there's going to be a lot of paperwork.
They're already disassociating.
A little bit. Somebody roll me a d20.
Who wants to roll? Who wants to roll?
Okay.
Dead even, just like a Jedi.
Perfect balance.
And
As all things should be.
as you all are standing there considering, a guard walks onto the brig, or not onto the brig, the bridge, and walks over to the sergeant, and you see a very, very quick conversation back and forth happen. And the sergeant slowly, you see a hand go to face and like rub down face, tired, and then straightens up and turns towards all of you. It seems news travels fast. Our guest seems to have found out that we have more guests and is now claiming to know something. And you see a flash of irritation, very blatant, on the captain's face before their eyes close and they go back to kind of stillness again.
Mind if I try getting a read on him?
Sure. You can roll a perception at 2 purple if you would like.
I was more thinking of sense, sense basic, or
Oh.
sense thought.
Sure, go ahead. Let us see if you get a light side point to use. Or a dark side point if you would like to use it.
Damn it.
You can flip it if you want.
Huh? Flip it? What do you mean?
You can. Uh, I'm usually you can spend a light side point and take some strain and conflict in order to flip that to a regular light side point.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I got a text message. I got distracted. What?
With the silence, I was like, oh god, are we not using those rules? Uh, I was explaining that you can flip dark sides into light sides.
Yeah. It will take, you will take some conflict for it. You'll take about 15 conflict, because I just, well, 10.
Yeah, no, it's
10
not worth
conflict.
it.
You have a
Yeah.
chance of rolling. Or if you do something good between now and the end, mitigating.
Mm. Okay, fine, fuck it. I'll flip it. Why not?
Dabble in
What's
the
the
dark
worst that
side.
could happen? What's the worst that could happen, right?
Dabble in the dark side. So what exactly are you wanting to do? Because I heard, I think, 3 options.
It was so I'm flipping it to use the sense spot ability. Let me go down
Mm-hmm.
and the exact wording on it is spend a point. The force user senses the current thoughts of one living target with whom she is engaged.
Okay. So you reach through the force and concentrate on the captain? I'm assuming?
Yeah, yeah.
And as you kind of touch their mind, you can tell that this is immediately a very regulated and kind of by the books person. Almost immediately. Even their thoughts seem to be surprisingly organized. And as you're kind of trying to figure out what their response was to what is happening, their mind is just 100% flooded with why the hell is all of this happening right now? It is strange enough for us to have a prisoner in the brig. And now we have Jedi and ambassadors showing up an hour after a murder. Why do the gods hate me today? And it's just a very unamused, stressed out captain trying to figure out bitterly how to keep his very important ship under control. Well, strange people and strange things keep happening.
Is there any more thoughts on the prisoner in particular, or no? Or mental image, maybe?
The image that you get is of an Imperial officer.
What? Tell me more about this guest of yours, this other guest.
You're not 100% certain, but you and Iffy watching this captain, you're fairly certain that you see underneath the robes, their shoulders just kind of fall an inch or two. And there's a slow breath out and a slow breath in. That would be a supposed Lieutenant Seed. He saved one of our soldiers on the ground. Brought him out from under heavy fire towards the safety of our lines and came across heavily injured himself. Couldn't really put him in a brig on the surface because there isn't one right now, so they brought him up here to be taken care of, and he has been a thorn in our side for the past 3 or 4 days now. And apparently now he's claiming that he knows something about the murder and wants to talk to you. And he looks towards Iffy.
To me.
And the captain looks towards the sergeant, and the sergeant nods slightly.
I look over to the sergeant. Now, how would he ask for me?
Well, and the sergeant kind of looks over his shoulder, like trying to find the guard that had came in, but he's already left. And looks back towards you. He's claiming that he knows about the murder and wanted to talk to the ladies that were investigating it.
Ladies that were investigating. If he nods. Sure does seem like we got our work cut out for us. Captain.
I'm getting Seven vibes right now from the movie Seven.
I was like, sus.
Captain, I can tell you got a lot on your shoulders. How about you take care of running the ship for a bit? Let us look into these leads. We'll meet up again, see where things lay.
And the captain kind of bows his head slightly. It's greatly appreciated if you could lend us any help at all. And he goes over to a different set of technicians and picks up a handful of kind of data chips on strings and hands them to you. This should get you through most of the doors on the ship. Won't let you into any place that needs to be kept. Fuck, why'd I forget the word now? Sterile. There we go. It won't let you through sterile doorways. So, like, into the surgery scrub down areas and stuff like that. For obvious reasons.
The captain, if this happens to be a matter of organs, wouldn't they be keeping those in a place that would be sterilized? Meaning, wouldn't we need to get in there?
Unfortunately, if you need to get in anywhere sterile, you will need to talk to the doctors and get their help. Either they will have to do whatever it is you're asking, or you will each have to submit to a thorough sterilization process before you can go in.
If you can't quite hide the flinch at thorough sterilization process.
We can't put the lives of our patients at any greater risk than they already are. Sure, you understand.
Of course, I understand. Let's put a pin in it. Hopefully, we won't need to come back to that.
And as he is talking, the sergeant also walks away for a moment and then comes back. Who wants a nice shiny data pad?
Sure.
So he comes back and hands it to Mercy. And it is a data pad that has the manifest for roughly about the last week of supplies coming in and out.
I'll start reviewing the data.
All right. So you can roll me 2 computers checks. One at 2 purple and one at 3 purple.
Alrighty.
Okay,
Huh?
that's good. And then one at 3 purple. Hey,
I like it.
that's very good. So you start looking through. It's not been secured or anything. It is just the manifest. But as you start kind of looking through and essentially kind of starting to crunch the numbers and sort the data in front of you, you see that essentially the order numbers and the numbers counted are not matching. It appears like, for instance, the ship ordered 100 IV bags at one point, but one of the counts of the IV bags, once it hit the loading bay, there's actually about 120. Though for the rest of the ship, it is still marked as 100 being available.
Jinkies. And I'll point that out.
And you see that with quite a few relatively basic medical supplies. Some of the basic drugs and necessities for caring for wounded and sick. And you also see that a lot of these inconsistencies seem to be wrapped up in the times where the ship is away from major ports or major starports. So it's the shipping runs that are happening or the supply runs that are happening while they are out in space.
I'll point that out.
Good looking out, Moss. Um, Captain, who would we talk to who's in charge of this sort of thing? Surely you got somebody whose job it is to look over these manifests, right?
Mm. The captain kind of shifts his head one way and then the other in a kind of like kinda gesture. Unfortunately, we've not had somebody at the charge of our incoming and outgoing supplies directly over everything recently. Though each department has somebody in particular that is in charge. The military end, the sergeant here, and he points towards Sergeant Kelly, handles a lot of the ordering and shipment of supplies. In the medical wing, Miss Cho actually has been taking care of that. And for the rest of the standard supplies to make our ship run, our cook has actually been helping with that.
You got a talented cook, don't you?
There is a little bit of laughter and chuckles from the people immediately around y'all that heard that comment. And there's a tiny smile on the captain's face. That's a bit of an understatement. He. Well, let's just say it seems like he never stops going.
I'm a bit of a gourmand myself, so don't mind me if I go swing by and say hello.
And the captain nods slightly. The run of the ship is yours. Though I would warn against going too brazenly through the medical wings. The nurses can be a bit protective, to say the least. Understandably so.
I look over the rest of the party to see if anybody else has any questions for the nice fella.
Negative.
Did the prisoner say why he rescued one of your men?
The sergeant kind of shakes his head slowly. Claims a crisis of conscience. But one of
Right.
those this late in the war, I'm sure you can figure out how unlikely that is.
Right. And who was it that he saved? Any one of them of importance?
The sergeant slowly shakes his head. Not particularly, just a private. Got off the surgery table this morning. Had to go under twice.
Sergeant. L- Just so you know, when somebody asks you if somebody on your ship is important, the right answer is all of my staff is important to me.
There's a slight huff from the captain that you can take as a laugh. In the sergeant kind of puffs up a little bit, and that like I was caught making a stupid, but I was also not caught making a stupid kind of like not sure what to do, mildly offended, but also I shouldn't be offended because you're right type like moment. I am sure the Jedi here was trying to imply that a officer or something, so that is what I responded to.
Appreciate your honesty. I can't really think of any other questions.
If you will thank them both for their time. And wait, we should see about where we get to stay as well, because we should ask for a room to talk, I think.
That'd be smart.
So if you will see about either we can stay on the yacht, but that might be a bit of a hike. So if there's a room here that we can chill and discuss things in, I think that'd be good.
You ask that, and they kind of look at each other. Well, there's not anywhere for you to bunk, per se, if that's what you're looking for, but I am sure we can make sure that there's a room in the crew quarters that's cleared out for the next couple of hours at the very least.
I'd appreciate that.
He nods and looks towards the sergeant. The sergeant's already heading out the door to go essentially block off one of the crew quarters for the next couple of hours. So there's a room down there that you can use.
All right. So do we want to head straight to that room, or do we want to hit anything else up?
Well, I am going to say I think it is a good place to call it for tonight.
That sounds great.
before you guys go diving into somewhere else, so we'd have to cut off halfway through.
That
Fair.
makes a whole lot of sense.
Hopefully, have a couple more brain cells to help us out here.
Yeah.
Hopefully have a couple more
Yeah.
brain cells next time. You all know that you have a murder mystery next session to deal with, instead of being surprised by it. And hopefully have your functional hacker next time as well. However, before you all run away to your separate locations for the evening, I do need a D100 roll from everyone.
Boy.
Go.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Ah!
Ooh,
A lot
Ah!
of chance points.
Okay.
A lot of high rolls.
That Kira has wasted the best luck with that, because how many people actually ever get a 100, and it was for one of these rolls.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, not on a crit? I could just behead someone.
Couldn't just get a 92 or something instead. Alright, and I need a D10 from Iris. Ooh! You balanced out.
hey.
I think it's funny that the dice gods are like, while they're leaving, better give them something on the way out.
So
Perfectly balanced.
you don't have to do anything either way as far as your morality. And I will get the D100s from the other two at a later date. But that is all for this evening. Hopefully you had a good time.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you.